Hello and welcome to episode 74 of Random Encounter, the RPG fan podcast. I'm your host, Robert Simon, Pale Robbie on the boards. Joining me today, we have the man with a giant freaking tattoo on his arm.
That's me. It's a new one too. It's not my old one. It's Zodiark from FF12. His glyph. Anyway, I'm Derek Heemsberg and Embryon on the boards.
That thing looks nuts,
It's
dude.
pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really happy with it.
I'm a big fan of Evilise related things,
I mean,
Yep.
especially on my favorite people. So
Aw, Steven.
just saying.
how
I'd be
much
happy if you had a thing on you. I don't know what that
you guys are hijacking already. Oh my god.
Let's not
How
get
much-
into that.
what?
So, how much did it hurt?
A good amount. Hurt more than my other two. I have a tattoo on my other arm and one on my leg, and it was a 6-hour session, and I sat through the whole thing all at once. So the guy was like, "You're pretty hardcore," and I was like, I don't know. I just sat there. I watched Mallrats, Ghostbusters 1, and Iron Man while I was
Alright.
having it done. So that was pretty sweet.
Why is that kid on the escalator again?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I hadn't seen Mallrats since I was a teenager, so that was pretty awesome.
It's not
Anyway.
a sailboat; it's a schooner.
It's cool. It hurt, but it looks good, so I'm fine with it.
Oh man! And then you guys also got a chance to hear Stephen Meyerink. He's here, ladies and gentlemen.
He is indeed, and he's still curious that you're still listening. But thank you.
Welcome back, Steven. You've been gone for a long time. You were you're on the East Coast doing East Coasty things with MagFest and such.
I was in Miami, Burn noticing it. I wasn't in Miami. I went to Maryland for MagFest. It was amazing. Everybody should go, and next year I'm sure many of you will. But yes, go to MagFest and listen to Final Stage. They're awesome.
Oh, I'm so sad I didn't get to go. I was the whole time I was like, I want to be there.
Ugh.
Let me put it to you this way. I don't want to take up too much of our time. I never dance at concerts. I danced so much at one of the shows that I was drenched in sweat, and Mike and my friends practically had to carry me back to the room where I passed out basically on the floor.
Oh, I danced.
You
so I
weren't-
danced.
You weren't inebriated at all, I'm assuming, correct?
Thanks to Bradley, our wonderful videographer, and his lovely wife Sarah, I was very inebriated most of the nights I was there. And
Doing it right.
let me put it to this way, RPG fans. You haven't lived until a rock band has played Gestures of the Moon from Final Fantasy IX, and you've moshed to it, okay?
Oh.
You haven't lived until you've done that, and I did that. So everybody, go to MagFest.
Okay, you convinced
Okay.
me.
All right. So, we kind of did the whole year is over. 2013 is done away and gone. 2014 is here, ready to disappoint and make us all angry, as is probably the case. God, there's so much negativity online the past couple days. Like, we're looking at Game of the Year articles and people being like, I can't believe so and so liked that game. I'm just like, good lord, like what the, like people got angry over GameSpot giving A Link Between Worlds Game of the Year.
You know what, though? I agree that the negativity is lame, but I think it's also indicative of a really awesome thing, which is that there is such last year, and I'm going to be, sweeping in this statement, but last year there was such a variety of stuff that came out. It's natural that someone's going to look at someone's award and go, "How could you give that an award?" Because look at our award. People were like,
was
"RPG
just
Fan
gonna
gave
say.
Game of the Year to an MMO," and we're like, "Yeah, because we loved it." GameSpot says the same thing. They're like, "Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you."
That's right.
GameSpot gave their Game of the Year to a handheld game, and it was an amazing handheld game. So we had such a variety of stuff last year that it's like I can't understand how you can be a fan of what we do and like the stuff we play and not be excited about last year, because it was a freaking zoo.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say the only department that it really lacked in was Western RPGs, which I think we'll discuss later. But overall, it was a really strong year. Like you said, there were so many games to consider, and like we had some pretty strong contenders for all of our categories as we were doing our Game of the Year stuff. So it's like, and we're just an RPG site, so there was a lot of variety within RPGs even, and then elsewhere there was so much. It was just like, and also Last of Us is an amazing game, and I don't care what anybody says, it deserves the awards. But
Yeah, Last of Us was so good, we made up a new award to give it an RPG fan, which is best
We sure
known
did.
RPG.
Yeah, no, it was a phenomenal game. I think I've actually warmed up more to it playing it a few times. But I will say we kind of talked a little bit in the pre-show warm-up, and looking back on some of the releases, I wasn't as excited about RPGs this year. And Derek pointed out, well, I don't think that there were very many Western RPGs, like big Western RPGs. We didn't get a new Dragon Age. We didn't even get an announcement of Fallout 4. It was kind of like a, so for guys like me that are maybe a little bit more interested in those kinds of RPGs, we didn't really get what we wanted. So that was kind of a little bit of a bummer. But what stood up were like a lot of indie titles. A lot of indie titles kind of carried the torch, and a lot of different ideas that are going on in that space.
Yeah, I agree. Last year was the year I came around because I was always like, indie games, they're me. And then I realized that so many of the games I've been playing have been indie games, and obviously way late to the party because there have been good ones for a while. But I mean, there's that's kind of the space that's really exciting, and I think the variety in indie games is pushing, in some cases, AAA games to be more creative too. Like you look at Ubisoft with Child of Light. I mean, that's not technically AAA, but they're a AAA studio, and I'm sure they're dumping dollar bills into it. But I think the success of like Kickstarter and smaller games and 2D games and indie games has made them say, yeah, let's spend some money on Child of Light. It's a 2D turn-based RPG. And I think that's awesome.
I can guarantee you they wouldn't have made that game if other similar games hadn't been made already, and if the indie movement hadn't gotten so strong, then they wouldn't have even considered something like that.
Yeah, it's exciting. I always say, without being prescriptive, we live in an exciting time where a lot of crazy stuff can come out that you undoubtedly haven't heard of.
Yeah, like I love that I can wake up on any given day and read gaming news about like this new Kickstarter was launched about something that looks amazing. Like I just saw one like an hour ago for Rain World. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, that looks super cool. I saw it like an hour ago too.
Yeah, pixel art game about cat slug in a desolate post-apocalyptic world, and I freaking love pixel art. So it's similar in style to Hyper Light Drifter, just in terms of the very fluid animation with pixels. So, but yeah, I think it's so cool that the indie scene is booming, and that anybody can pretty much just make a game and say, yeah, hey, I have these ideas, and I have a platform that I can present them on, and people will listen, and then we have all of these cool things coming out. So it really has never been a better time to be somebody that's interested in video games, because options are everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. Like, and even AAA, like last year was great if you like AAA stuff, and I think AAA is being pushed to be more creative now because people expect a certain degree of like, oh, your game can't just be another shooter anymore. Like I think people have fatigued of that, and I think we're going to see more of that this year.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, I'm tired of first-person shooters anyway. So if they're going to continue to be first-person shooters, they really need to do something different. Like Borderlands is great.
Like be fun. That would be that would be nice.
That would be a good step in the right direction.
I will say, off topic, I played Killzone or whatever the heck the Killzone on PS4 is, and I actually liked it. Not a great game, but a fun game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of want to try the PS4 one, just to try it. But it's not the kind of game that I can justify buying just because shooters tend to make me sick after. Like they give me headaches. I've said that a million times probably, but.
I would say it's not worth $60 because it's brief, but if somebody has it or you can borrow it and you sit down, it's a fun showcase for PS4, and it's never bad. It's just, it runs like from a solid 7 to an 8 or 9. But RPGs.
Yes, RPGs.
Rob, do you like RPGs?
I'm a fan of RPGs. Derek.
RPGs.
Derek, you got addicted to one RPG during the holidays, didn't you?
I did. It's one that's a little bit outside of my normal wheelhouse, but I ended up just completely sinking my life into Rogue Legacy. I got it as a... No, I didn't get... it's funny, my friend Steven, Greg Delmage, shout-outs to Greg.
Thanks for listening to our shows, Greg.
Yeah,
You're lovely.
Cool. He was actually going to buy it for me, I guess. Like on the day that I bought it, it was on Steam sale. So I bought it, and then about an hour later, he said, "Well, I bought that for you, but now I can't gift it to you. So enjoy it anyway," which was funny. So I was destined to play it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I absolutely love 2D Castlevania games, including the old ones as well as the Metroidvania style ones that have the RPG elements. So
if you don't, check your brain.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you if you don't. So Rogue Legacy is basically a Castlevania game with roguelike elements that has a different art style. I think if a game like Rogue Legacy came out with an art style more akin to Castlevania, I'd probably just die happy. But that game is so freaking addictive because everything you do is rewarding. And every time you die, you're like, okay, well, unless you have a really, really miserable run, it's like, I have some gold, so I really want to spend it on some upgrades. And now I want to see what those upgrades do for me as I go into the next run. So, oh my god, that game absolutely for probably like 5 days, I just didn't do anything else when I had
Yeah,
time.
I think we're a little late to the party because when that game came out, all the sites were like, "Oh, addicted," and I got it and loved it. And when I went home to visit my family, my little brother, in order, I was like, "Hey, play Wolf Among Us." He beat it, loved it, and then I was playing Rogue Legacy. He goes, "What's that?" And I'm like, "It's Rogue Legacy." He goes, "It looks like Castlevania." So I let him play it on my Steam account, and then he bought it like 5 seconds later, and that's all we played, other than Final Fantasy
Yeah,
14. But everyone knows we love that at RPG Fan, and Rogue Legacy is just utterly compelling because the controls are tight. It has the most important things for that genre. Controls are tight, playing is rewarding, and it's challenging. And in my opinion, those are the three most important things when you have a game of that style. And it's just
yeah,
every
that
moment
game
is delightful and addicting.
beats the crap out of you too, but you keep coming back for more. I got frustrated, maybe not as often as I was excited, but every couple of runs I would die some horrible death or just have some miserable stupid accident happen. But
You'd have like
coming back.
vertigo and color blindness and be like, well, could
Yeah,
be worse, I
Yeah,
guess.
that kind of breaks the whole game. I mean, I like Rogue Legacy a lot. I think that those kind of like, the being big or having dyslexia and things like that. I sometimes that was cute and funny, but at some point, maybe about like the 6 hour mark in the game, as I was getting close to the end, I kind of wanted that stuff to stop. And
yeah,
I kind of just wanted to beat the game at that point, and I was getting a little frustrated with it.
yeah.
And as you open up more and more character classes, that could end up hindering you because you could end up being like, well, wait a minute, I don't really like this certain character class. I haven't really
Yeah.
built my legacy around that. But now every once in a while I'm going to get that character class and maybe no other good options. That's one of those little metagame things that I think I know Steven wasn't bothered by because nothing bothers him, but
Well, no,
that
no, no,
got
no,
on my
no.
nerves a little bit.
I agree with you that it can be frustrating, but I think that's the kind of game that invites you to go back and play it and game it, like Final Fantasy Tactics. It wants you to go back and game the system, and with it being as random as it is, that's sort of the occupational hazard of having a game that's procedurally generated like that. But also, it's like, yeah, the first time I played, it was frustrating. I had 5,000 classes that sucked. But then when you play again, don't unlock that class, level up. You know what you want to level up, so you can sort of game the system to your liking.
That's true to an extent. Although I just agree though that I had the exact same observation as I was playing it. I was like, I don't want assassins and I don't want mages because they suck.
All
I
right,
just
I'm
want
I'm not gonna lie. I think assassins are awesome, and I think spell thieves are awesome. But we can all agree
no
that
spell thieves are amazing.
archmages. Let's all agree that archmages are terrible.
Yeah, they're just bad. But yeah, spell swords or whatever they're called are fantastic. But those guys and ninjas, I think the dragon sucks too. But anyway, that's not relevant, I guess.
It's if you enjoy action RPGs, you should probably buy Rogue Legacy. It's dirt cheap. It goes on sale every 30 seconds, and I see no reason why you shouldn't own it. It's a great game, and
Yeah.
it's funny. It'll make you laugh, even at your own like mistakes. You'll laugh sometimes. You're like, oh god.
I would also agree. I would also rather suggest that even if it seems like the kind of game that you would not normally want to try, like if the idea of roguelikes is repugnant to you, you don't like the idea of having to restart or be level 1 or whatever, it's still really accessible and addictive. It doesn't, I mean, it can be hard, but it doesn't ever feel so punishing that you're like, screw this, I just lost a bunch of time. It just, because I'm kind of averse to roguelikes. I don't hate them or anything, but if there's no progression system where I can retain something from run to run, then I get really, really irritated. Like I hate games where I have to start level 1 every single time, and there's nothing I can do to make myself stronger between runs. So if that's the kind of thing that bothers you as well, I would still say to try Rogue Legacy. It's a really good game.
Yeah, they call it a roguelite for a reason. It takes elements of roguelikes, but the persistent progression makes it feel, like you're never just wasting your time. Like you lose some of that. I'm purely basing this on my awesome skill level of a roguelike, but also it's a little bit more compelling in terms of progression.
Yes, sir. It's good.
I was a really big fan of it. I enjoyed it. And I think it's definitely a sign that we all kind of got addicted to it in our own little way. And it's a game that once it gets its hooks into you, you're not going to do anything else for a couple of days. Like waking up in the morning, pot of coffee, Rogue Legacy. And
Yeah,
it was
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, speaking of pot of coffee, I just bought a coffee maker, so everyone celebrate for me.
you're like an official graduate student now,
That's
Steven.
good.
I'm very proud of you.
I don't know how you just got one and you're in graduate school. Like I
Well,
would die with one.
because I was enjoying, spending all of my money buying $4 lattes at Starbucks. But now I want coffee at home.
That certainly
I
is
want-
its own joy, but
I want to entertain myself with coffee
Yeah.
at my place for
okay,
free,
that sounds good. Sounds like a party to me.
right?
So you know what else we've all been playing?
Mm.
Is
Final
the Bra-
Fantasy 14.
Yes, but the Bravely Default demo.
Ah, yes, we have indeed been playing.
We have, and there's a lot of
Varying opinions.
So
Yes.
I have a quick question, totally unrelated to gameplay. In the U.S., is the game still called Bravely Default Flying Fairy, or is it just Bravely Default?
I think it's just
Bravely
Bravely.
Default.
Yep, just Bravely
Okay.
Default.
I mean, I understand exactly why they did that in the U.S. because everyone's like, Flying Fairy? I don't like fairies. I played Zelda.
People are dumb. So
Well, I mean, with their memories of fairies being Navi, I suppose I can appreciate that. But,
that's what you think of immediately?
well, I mean, I didn't even play Ocarina of Time, and I know how annoying Navi is. So,
Well, she's the worst.
I mean, she means well. So
She's no tattle or tail, for sure.
I gotta play Majora's Mask. I was convinced that
see?
game sounds amazing
Drop that
over my break.
reference, yo. That game,
Word.
that game is oppressive. But anyway, so the demo, we've all played it. I sunk about I don't know 5 hours into it, 5-6 hours. Steven, how long did you play it?
I may or may not have 10 hours, and I may or may not be actually checking it right now. Before we get into the crux of the taste, wow. Before we get into the meat of our discussion, I love the demo for reasons that I think a lot of people actually don't like the demo. But I won't get too much into that now. But yeah, I think at least 10 hours on it.
I think between the three of us, we actually have a really good spread of opinions on this demo. I would say that Steven leans the most positive, Rob leans the most negative, and I'm really squarely in the middle in that I like the demo, but I also think it's a very bad demo, which probably sounds like I'm insane because that would say it doesn't align with my tastes. But I think that the demo does a really poor job of showing what kind of game Bravely Default is to people who don't know anything about it. For people like us who play a billion RPGs and are well informed and we do our research, we know what we're getting into when we play that kind of demo. But I think that it throws you in with so many options and so little explanation. And yes, it does. Yes, it absolutely does say this is very different from the regular game. You are just going to be doing fetch quests. But people are dumb and they'll be like, oh well, the whole game is going to be like this. I don't want to play this game. Meh, peh, peh. Which I'm not saying is any fault of the game whatsoever. I'm just saying that I guess from a development standpoint, I feel like they kind of missed something there. They kind of dropped the ball on making it an accessible demo that makes people want to buy the game.
I'm gonna jump in real quick. No.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in real quick before Steven gets in there because I know the argument Steven's gonna make because we've been working with him for so long. And what Steven's gonna say, well, what Steven's gonna say is, well, haven't we been complaining a lot about games that hold your hand too much and really don't let you do this and that?
Oh, now you're cheating because I said that before the show.
I know, so it's almost like it's like it came to me in a vision. And
Picture in my head.
Stop
Picture
it.
of this.
Stop it. And so I get that point, but I lean more strongly than Derek. When I picked up this demo, you're immediately thrust into like, okay, you're in this world. These are your party members. You just got a task from like a monarchy, from a king. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the game's like, here's this Farmville side quest thing that you can do to like assign people. Wait, what? Okay, so I need to street pass with people now. Okay, now go to the town and you can change jobs, and we're not going to tell you what any of the jobs do or what's special about the jobs. Okay, now go out into the world and start questing. And I was like, wait.
All right.
Who are these party members? Like, I was just like, you just hit me with like 8 things in a row, and the example I gave to Steven was, if I drop you into the middle of Deus Ex and I don't explain to you what your superpowers are, you're going to be stumbling and fumbling, and you're not really going to be having fun because you haven't had a couple of hours for the game to tell you how to interact with it. And I just feel that this game just throwing you into the middle of this, it was like, can we all agree that the Farmville stuff was probably not the first thing that this game needed to show you?
Yes,
I will agree that it probably should have said, hey, this is what this does first. But I will say, vis-a-vis your Deus Ex reference, Deus Ex also starts like if you had a demo that started you out with a bunch of your powers, yeah. Bravely Default doesn't start you out with a bunch of your powers. It starts you out at level 1 and says, here are the potential powers you could have. And again, I don't necessarily agree that you should pander everything to the lowest common denominator, but I feel like this demo was aimed at people who know what they're getting into at Bravely Default. Like, people who wanted this game have been vocal about it for a while. They know what Bravely Default is. It's Final Fantasy V with graphics by the guy from Final Fantasy Tactics with, awesome music by some crazy Japanese guy. And, like, I got into it and I said, all right, cool. I'm well aware of what a Valkyrie does. I know what spear people do in Final Fantasy. I know what a Black Mage is. I didn't need them to explain that to me.
I wouldn't say that I needed them to explain those sorts of things, but see, I agree with you and disagree at the same time. Wow, I'm contradictory today. I'm a people pleaser. What can I say?
Real quick before you say that, I also wanted to say that as an RPG demo, the Final Fantasy VIII demo back in the day throws you into Dalit and is like, yeah, here's a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense. And I loved it. But the Bravely Default demo says, here's all the gameplay that you're going to be able to try out. We're not going to spoil any of the story for you. And I like that because now when I go into the game, it's not like, oh, God, I got to play the first chapter again and I know everything that happens there.
I guess so, but the fact that they went out of their way to create a demo that has content that differs completely from the game also means that they could have created a small... Because they marketed this demo, well, what little marketing they did, when they announced this demo via Nintendo Direct and elsewhere, they explained that it would be a quote-unquote side story that has content that's not in the full game, and that made it sound like a neat side quest that actually had some kind of narrative impact, like something cool that might be, a thing that you could play the full game and be like, oh, in the demo side quests they did this and this, and they didn't fully explain that in the game, so now I understand. But instead, it wasn't actually a side story as much as it was just like, here are some very basic quests with like a line of text to explain what it is. But what I was going to say earlier was not that I think I agree with you because they do give you the option for all the jobs, and all the jobs have to be leveled up, so it's not like they're at max level and you have a billion abilities to choose from and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I've played a crap ton of RPGs. I understand how this works. I don't need it to be explained to me, but I have 8 jobs available to me right away, and I made a party that I thought would be effective. Like, I made like a knight, white mage, black mage, and blade master or something, and I equipped them, and I noticed that everybody had weapon proficiency ranks that were kind of... I could infer, obviously, that having a higher proficiency would make it stronger, but when I was using Optimize, it kept equipping them with different stuff and blah, blah, blah. So I went out into the field, and I was just getting stomped because even though I thought I had an effective party setup, things are a little bit different in the game because you have the whole Brave and Default system. And I just sort of felt like I wish it would have been a little bit more structured where they would have said, okay, here's the beginning of the demo. We're going to start you with just Knight, White Mage, Black Mage. And then you beat the first boss, and then it says, okay, now we're going to give you 2 more jobs so you can experiment with those. But instead, it just kind of was like, here's everything at once, and then go fight all the guys.
I appreciate the point you're making, but I have to disagree again. Because Final Fantasy Tactics never gave you that hand-holding, and we always talk about that game as being incredible and amazing because you could just go your own way. And I don't think Bravely Default requires you to have a certain party composition. The fact is, the beginning of the demo is hard as balls no matter what classes you have. Because my party just rocks everything now, but when I started, I had a Black Mage with no magic, I had a White Mage with no magic, I had a Valkyrie with a spear, which is great because I saw the S rank, and I said, okay, S rank, obviously I should equip her with this. And my knight was like, I'm a knight. I'm average at everything, and I can protect people. So I got rocked a lot. But then you win a few battles, you gain some levels, and very rapidly you get powerful. And that's how it is in Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy V. You pick a class, you're just a total putz with that class at first. You're like, I'm a mage. I can't do anything. And then you learn some magic, and you're like, oh, okay, that's how this class is supposed to work. So while I appreciate that the game does not say, it doesn't say, here's 4 classes. Learn how to use them. Now here's 4 more. And I imagine the full game will be like that because that's what Tactics did. That's what Final Fantasy V did. But I honestly think that in this game it's intuitive enough, and the game itself strikes me that it's tough enough that no matter what you start with, you're going to be weak because you have a class with a crappy weapon. You don't have enough money to buy a good weapon for that class, and you don't have magic if you're a caster. So
I want to go back to Steven's argument about Final Fantasy, the Final Fantasy VIII demo, which I actually thought that the Final Fantasy VIII demo was terrible. And I remember that was like the first moment where I was like, something doesn't seem right here, because I agree with you. I don't think that did a very good job of explaining anything. Meanwhile, the Final Fantasy VII demo puts you right into the thick of things. It didn't give you any materia to equip or anything. It just said, okay, here's some magical abilities, get used to the combat system, see what it's like. And that was all I really needed. And on the one hand, this Bravely Default demo is doing a lot of things. I mean, Steven, you've said that you've played it for 10 hours, which is awesome. They're giving you something that will carry over to the next game. That part of it's great. I just think that your first exposure to this world, you don't have any sense of what the world is. You don't have any sense of what the characters are. The game is doing the absolute worst thing that I can't stand about video games today, where it's explaining things to you in text, not detailed enough, but also too detailed in a way. Like, it's telling you some things that you do need to know while leaving out other things that you don't need to know. Like, it's bizarre, and then it's hitting you over the face with, okay, here is our map system, here is our character class, here's our characters, here is this weird street pass thing. Maybe, you know what it maybe is, guys? Maybe I was so ticked off at the fact that just to download this demo took me 20 minutes of getting a new eShop download, a firmware update for my 3DS, followed by making a Mii, because now they force you to use the Miiverse thing. Maybe that's what it was, and if I give the demo another shot, everything will be fine. But just the experience that Nintendo made of me trying to download this demo made me want to cut myself.
All right.
I was so frustrated.
To be fair, if you had done that sooner, you wouldn't have had to. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's frustrating, but it's also part of Nintendo making their online infrastructure less crappy, because now you have a Nintendo ID that your stuff is tied to. And, like, it sucked that you had to do all that stuff to do it. I mean, I guess I already had a Mii, but I didn't use it for anything. But on the other hand, now you have a Nintendo ID, so it's frustrating, but it's like, wouldn't you rather do that now and then not have problems with Nintendo?
I can't make that argument, Steven, because the fact that I had an eShop ID and now they made me make a new ID, what's to say that a year from now they don't say, hey, here's
But you don't have an eShop ID. You just had your 3DS.
I know.
Now you have a Nintendo.
I'm just saying that the whole process of downloading this demo was a total pain in the butt, and then follow it up with, I kind of wanted to see, like, I expected this to be like the opening of the game, or like this was going to give me a little bit of an idea. I mean, I play RPGs for story, and this game was just like, okay, here's the world, go. And I was like, wait a minute, like, I don't know anything about this game. Like, I only know about the Bravely Default system. And even that wasn't explained real well. I didn't really know when I should be storing up my turns. I didn't quite have a feel for it. I was like, okay, should I be storing up my... Now, my ninja just kind of seems to be destroying everything, so why am I worried about it?
I feel like that's something you sort of have to learn by experience. And I'll agree that it's a bummer that you don't get much story, but it really, I guess, depends on what you want out of a demo. Because for me, a big part of the RPG is the story. So if you start spoiling story beats before I even play the game, when I play the game, I'm like, I've already done this.
That's true.
And so, like, I totally dig that. I totally dig that it's a bummer that you don't get more story, but I also kind of like it, because now when I buy the game, I'm like, yeah, I know how to play now. I can get right in and dig into the story and not have to, futz around with, how does this work? What do I go over here? I'm like, all right, I know who's what. I know where's what. I can do this, and tell me what's happening.
Okay,
But I think your perspective is totally valid too. That it's a bummer. It'd be like getting a demo of. Sorry for this example, Rob. It'd be like getting a demo of Beyond Two Souls that has nothing to do with Beyond Two Souls.
That would be a better game than Beyond Two. No, sorry.
Actually, I played that game. That game is awesome.
Oh God, Steven. Okay, whatever.
It is.
So it didn't sour me completely on Bravely Default. I think I lost a little bit of interest in the game, but then I'm going, okay, when you get the actual game, you're going to be introduced to the characters. The game's going to take a little bit more time to explain what exactly is going on. Okay.
But you won't have to read the gameplay tutorials.
True. I just think that this demo, it's kind of like Square Enix was really close to doing something really, really right. And I agree with Derek's main point, which is that this demo for like non-RPG people is like a brick to the face of just like, what? Like, you'd think this is a Farmville simulator if you played it for 5 minutes.
I don't know if I agree with that degree of extremeness. But
I honestly, I'm having a hard time, because I think that you both make compelling arguments, and
I win. I run the show. I win.
Shut up. I have very mixed feelings on it in the first place. So I totally agree with what both of you are saying, and I had a lot of the same feelings too. Like, I think it's, again, what I said initially was that I think that it's a poor demo for showing off what Bravely Default is to people who don't know what it is, but it's also a good demo in that it doesn't make you're not going to have to retread story, and it's content that isn't in the full game, even though I don't think that content is fleshed out or interesting, really.
As sorry, I don't want to interrupt your point.
No, that's it. I'm good.
The point I wanted to make about the demo is that when I went to E3, I was watching a lot of people play Tales of Excelia last year, and they were all running around fighting battles and roaming around the generic world map areas. And I was like, why are people doing this? We all know what a Tales game is. The Tales game is action RPG combat, and you run around, you go to towns. We all know what an RPG is. So for me, when I sat down, I said, all right, let me dig into the menu. What do they got going on here? How can I progress my characters? What options do I have to customize? You know, what does the game have in that regard? So I feel like an RPG player who's been crying out for this game to get a localization doesn't need you to be like, all right, well, this is the story, and here's the bad guy, and here's your impetus. They want to know, what's the systems like that I'm going to dig into this game for 90 hours with? And I feel like the demo is 100% successful at saying, all right, here's our systems. Enjoy.
I guess all I can really say is that I feel like they could have done a better job of melding both of those things. Like I said, I wish they would have had a small original story that gave you some neat extra depth to the characters or the main narrative without retreading, and at the same time, like maybe after that was concluded, like maybe have it be an hour-long side story, right? And then once that concludes, say, okay, now here's all the systems, go have fun, and give you a couple of additional objectives that don't have any ties to the story. Like I guess that's what I would have wanted, but it's a demo. Why am I complaining? It was free,
Didn't Etrian Odyssey Millennium Girl do that, where they had like some original stuff, and then they were like, all right, you finished the original stuff, go level up and stuff?
I'm not sure. I know for sure that the demos had that you were able to transfer your save data over to the full game. And I think the only original stuff they really had was there were a couple NPCs that were like, this is a demo, LOL. And yeah.
Lol.
But yeah, so but those were also great demos because they let you transfer save data. And that's something that we haven't touched on yet. Is I know we're wrapping up the conversation about Bravely Default, but it is really cool that you can transfer some portion of your save data to the full game. Obviously it's not, since it is a side story, quote unquote side story, you're not transferring your actual progress, but you do get to transfer your street pass data for the rebuilding side quest, as well as you get to transfer like your friend list if you've made any friends.
And if you hit any of the awards in the game, we're like, oh, you did this or you played the demo, you get bonuses of like items and stuff in the full game. So yeah, it's not going to break your experience, but you're going to jump into the full game knowing how to play, knowing what you want to aim for, and having some additional means to do that.
I do really like that, even though the bonuses are like, have 2 potions and 1 ether, and you're like, okay.
Well, the first one is, but the last couple ones are like, here's some crazy cool weapons and stuff.
Okay. Well, that's a neat bonus, and they're not game breaking or anything, so that's cool.
Yeah, they basically just cut out grinding in the full game, because anybody who buys this game not expecting to do some grinding, don't. It's again, Final Fantasy V as a tactics. Part of the fun of those games is grinding to build crazy parties. You're going to be grinding in this game. But the benefit is, if you press right during battles, you can activate turbo mode.
It's true.
I didn't even realize that.
Dude.
Cool.
It is baller. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, it would be great when I'm grinding job levels if I could speed up this game. And then I hit right and I was like, oh, I can speed up. And then I hit it again. And I was like, oh, I can make it go even faster.
Yeah, you can go up to right speed. And
yeah,
grinding is almost eliminated. I mean, like the chore of grinding is gone.
Yeah.
You can just speed it way the hell up.
Yeah, it's a great feature. We talked about it in Final Fantasy XII International. It's weird because you don't want to completely eliminate having to fight battles to level, but eliminating the tedium of sitting there watching your characters casting the same spell is a great feature to have. And when I realized I could do that, I was like, oh, I'm going to go level up every class.
I think it's great that it's optional, that you can either use it or don't, turn it on or off anytime. It's very convenient. You don't have to go into a menu. You just hit right on your control pad, or if you don't want it, hit left. That's exactly what I want out of a feature like that, because I also don't want that completely eliminated to the point where it's almost as if the game is playing itself. So it's so convenient. I feel a little bad using it almost, but it's really convenient.
Yeah, because you're still making the choices you'd make. Like, you're still like, oh, I got to pick all my spells and use Brave and Default and all that, which are cool features, by the way. But Yeah, it's nice that you can turn it off because there are times where I just want to watch the party I've built just annihilate enemies. That's fun sometimes.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep.
I'm still interested in it. I wasn't, that despite Square Enix's best intentions, I didn't say no, I'm not playing this game. I just thought it was a little weird. But I think, making a demo can sometimes be really hard, and on the plus side, you're able to carry stuff over. So it's one of those things where I get what they're trying to do. Maybe not the right kind of demo for me, but okay, good job, and I'm probably gonna end up getting the game. So is that
Yeah.
fair? I feel like I'm being very
Yeah,
diplomatic right
that's
now.
No,
that's
I think
very
I think that's a great way to put it. I agree with you guys when I say I don't think it's a demo for everybody. It was a demo that suited me, but I've read a lot about Bravely Default, so I jumped in knowing I was like, all right, I know what I'm getting into here.
Right, right.
And I have the collector's edition pre-order, which I rarely do, but I really really like job systems.
Yeah, me too. I did that too. Well, it was like $10 more, right? And
Yeah,
it
it was
has a
like
lot
nothing.
of cool stuff in it. So
Hmm.
Yeah, like the
Anywho.
soundtrack, which I've reviewed on RPGFan.com. You should read my review of it. I said
Huzzah!
it's one of the few soundtracks that even came close to the awesomeness of Chrono Cross for me, and I
That
think that's the
soundtrack
best
is
soundtrack
amazing.
ever. So,
The battle music is freaking awesome.
So good.
all right.
So
So, real quick before we go off topic, the battle music is amazing, and in the full game, when you fight battles and certain characters do better, every character has their own battle theme. So, if you start to rock with one character, their version of the battle theme starts, and they're awesome.
yeah, all the music in that game is ridiculous because Revo is ridiculous and awesome.
Yeah, the final boss music, it's like 4 songs that are like 10 minutes each. It's just, blah.
Speaking of which, this is super off topic, and I don't want to go too far into it. But have you heard any of the Drakengard 3 stuff yet, Steven?
Mm-hmm.
It's freaking insane.
It is.
It's
And
crazy. There's like one track because I just listened to a couple of Game Rip tracks, and there's one track where the intro is literally 45 seconds of insane laughter that gets gradually more and more distorted until it turns into freaking gabber, and it's like dum 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 da 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 da.
Okay.
So I want to play that game a lot.
All right, so I think Drakengard 3 leads us into a good place for discussion about games that we're most anticipating for next year.
oh, very nice, Rob.
Yeah, I'm the master
Yeah,
of the segue as I was sitting here looking
eh,
up. I'm sorry I've been so quiet. It's just I got really excited because we're finally talking about E3, and I just spent like 20 minutes looking up flights from.
dude, I am so excited that you're going, and I'm sure Derek is going to go, so we're going to have a lovely time.
Well, I think what I'm going to be able to do is, hey, the kids, the listeners get to hear how we plan this stuff out. If I take a train to Newark, Delaware from 30th Street Station in Philadelphia, I can actually get a round trip flight for $400.
That's good because you're way east.
Yeah, I might be the most east. Am I the
Rob.
most east?
Rob, would you say that you're always east?
I'm always east.
That's a Diablo reference, and you didn't get it, and I'm very upset.
Always? No, I actually did get it. Always into the east. I got
It's
it.
not a
big
big
guy.
black mushroom. I don't care.
I also reserved my Reaper of Souls collector's edition, so
Mm.
I
wanna
did
play
it.
That.
I am going.
I
I am going to get that, but I'm not going to get the collector's edition because I got the one for Diablo 3, and it was awesome. But
Yeah,
Diablo
I'm
3.
splurging a little bit.
It was awesome. So you're not getting the other one?
well, it was awesome, but it was $90, and Diablo 3 is Diablo 3. I love it, but it's hard to love sometimes.
Yeah, I
no.
love collector's editions, but only
So,
for stuff.
Anywho.
Anywho.
So we were talking about Drakengard 3. I gotta ask, are people really excited for Drakengard 3?
They
All
Or
right,
is
should-
this? I feel like this is like how I like Deadly Premonition. That's what I feel like. It's
No.
like
Derek, before because I know you're going to make a different point than me. I agree with you, Rob. I think people are forgetting that Drakengard 1 and 2 were awful games. Drakengard 1 and 2 had really neat stories.
Yep.
And they were awful. And then people
Yeah.
were like, oh my god, I love the soundtrack for Nier, and it's back in Drakengard 3. And I feel like that's the only reason people give a crap about this game. And don't get me wrong, series change all the time. This could very well be an awesome game, especially with Square Enix being on this weird, like, we're going to do things that aren't stupid lately renaissance. So I am definitely going to check it out because they've really been impressing me lately. The music is fantastic, which I sort of expected. But I really feel like they intelligently are sort of marketing this game on the whole, yeah, it's kind of related to Nier. Remember, everybody loved that soundtrack and said it had a cool music. So I feel like this game could be terrible, but it's weird and quirky like the first two in Nier. So everyone's like convincing themselves that it's amazing.
I think that's very valid. And at the same time, I've watched a bunch of gameplay footage. I know a couple people have been streaming it recently. So I've been checking out a couple streams of it, and
Oh, really?
yeah, and I've been like I stop whenever cutscenes happen because I don't want to be spoiled on stuff. But I've watched quite a bit of gameplay. It doesn't look like it's a phenomenal game by any means, but by any wow, I cannot talk by any means. But it looks like a really solid hack and slash, like it's kind of a Dynasty Warriors-esque game on a much smaller scale. I don't know about much smaller, but reasonably smaller scale. And that you have one person that's really powerful attacking a bunch of mooks and people that like weak generic enemies. So you're just kind of tossing them around like ragdolls, and then you have the bosses that are the real meat of the game. So and that have really interesting and creative patterns and all that kind of stuff. Because I love classic action game bosses that have patterns, and you have to learn the patterns and get good at dodging them and all that kind of stuff. So that's
Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Devil May Cry, Mega Man, obviously, Castlevania, even though Castlevania games are kind of easy on the whole, at least any of the ones with RPG elements. But that kind of stuff is something that really appeals to me. So from what I've seen of the gameplay, it just seems like it is a solid game of that type. It doesn't seem incredibly innovative necessarily, but the story is so out there and the characters seem really interesting and compelling, and the soundtrack is phenomenal because
That
I've already
sounds
listened to a lot of it.
very
So
fair.
it seems like to me, preemptively, I'm gonna say it seems like a really solid 8 kind of game, like an 8 out of 10, where it doesn't amaze you in terms of gameplay, but the other elements are so compelling that you can't help but be drawn to it. So that's the kind of game I expect it to be. I don't know. I do agree that a lot of people are probably hyping it a lot just because of its pedigree, and without actually knowing. Because you're right, at least Drakengard 1 was crap. I played it.
Like
I don't know why, but I did.
Yeah, like I remember I was so excited for that game, and I was like, "This is awful," and like. Nier, I haven't beaten Nier, but I always like Nier because of how weird it is, and it's playable-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
It has a really cool story.
Yep.
And so I'm willing to play an okay game if it has a really cool story. I played Xenogears, and
Hey, whoa.
Xenogears is a mediocre game, let's be real. It's just got an awesome story. But
Man, we are throwing bombs today all of a sudden.
You watch that. I don't agree.
Steven has just never gotten hate mail and really wants some. No.
I guess so, but I agree about Nier. I think Nier is a thoroughly average video game that has an amazing, like, has other amazing parts that make it way better than it should be.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with that. Like I say, the Final Fantasy IX is my favorite one. It's flawed as crap, but I love it. And there's totally nothing wrong with loving a flawed game because they can often be your favorite.
You're right.
And I don't mean to poo-poo on anybody who is excited for Drakengard 3.
Poop talk?
But like I think it will be what people want it to be. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's
like
not.
I think I came off a little too negative at first, and I
kind of blow it in terms of gameplay. I don't think, but
yeah, like it could still be an experience that you remember and really enjoy.
I did actually because the reason why I said I stopped streams whenever cutscenes happen, because one time I didn't, because curiosity got the best of me and I couldn't look away, and it was as insane as I expected it to be. So I think the game is going to be just freaking crazy, and I really like that because there's just something about the style and the world that draws me in a lot, because it's hyper violent and super macabre, and I don't know. It's just it's so interesting. I don't know what it is.
No, I know what you mean. It's like,
and that's not me normally. Like I don't like hyper violence, but something about this series gets me.
That's actually kind of how I feel with Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah.
I don't like hyper violence, but man, that game makes you relish in it.
Well, and I wasn't trying to throw a bomb out there to say that the game was definitely going to be crap. I was just so surprised by the reaction for Drakengard 3 because, I was kind of in the same boat as Steven. When I played Drakengard 1, I was like, oh man, here it goes. I'm going to be on a dragon. This is going to be...
You're like, well, I guess the music is awesome.
I was like, this is terrible. So this is like bad Dynasty Warriors. So I'm like...
I think one thing to keep in mind is that this is not the same team that made Drakengard and Nier. Cavia, I think they shut down, and
they did.
I could be wrong. This could have some of the same people involved, but it's not the same team. So, it's kind of just the name and the musical pedigree. I don't know any of the developers, so I'm talking out of my butt here when I say, I don't think it's the same people.
I think you're right. Yeah, I know Cavia did dissolve, so it's a different staff for the
Much
most
like
part.
Nautilus in a ruse, I'm crying. No more Shadow Hearts.
I know.
That makes me
I know.
cry too. Rob would feel that way if he ever played the games.
I keep trying to play it, and it just doesn't. I don't know what it is. When I got to
Stop. Move on to the next topic right now.
Okay. All right. Derek, give me another game that you're excited about next year. Go.
Well, things that you don't care about. Trails in the Sky, second chapter. Hey, I'm just saying.
I'm excited for that because I like the first one.
You've played like an hour of it.
I've played like 10 hours of it.
Are you sure? Can you remember?
Pretty sure.
Do you understand how time works?
I know how time works. Don't make fun of me just because I've had a few beverages tonight, okay?
Oh, I have too. That's why I'm so sassy. So I would say, do you want me to give you a bunch? Like Trails, second chapter.
Rattle a couple off. Let's have some fun.
Transistor looks awesome.
Transistor does look pretty good.
Me too. It's super fun.
I'm legitimately excited for Lightning Returns. I know you guys aren't.
No, what? I have the Japanese
not
version.
you guys. Okay, I take it back. Rob isn't. But Rob is an automaton. And
Rob might actually like it.
I don't know, man. That game's getting a couple of user reviews have come out, so you gotta take that for what it is. That game's
discussed these. There were a couple. There were like 2 import reviews that came out. Or it was just one because it was the same review posted on 2 sites.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Was largely positive, and then they were like 5 out of 10.
Yeah, like the whole review was like, "This is a pretty good game." 5 out of 10.
Okay, so that's fair. That's fair. I don't think this game will be for me.
I maybe not. Like the plot is silly, but gameplay wise, I've watched the vast majority of the game on a stream, and it you know, at this point you either hate Lightning or you love her, and this isn't going to change that. But gameplay wise, there is a lot to enjoy in this.
Yep. But moving on, because we will have plenty to say about that. We actually have a review copy of that coming later this week as of this recording. I don't know if I'll get it, but I'm
ahead and take it.
I'm vying for it because everybody knows I'm like one of the few people that cares. But so Lightning Returns. Let's see, Transistor. What else did I say? Trails, SC. I care about the next Atelier game, Atelier Escha and Logi, that comes out in March. Again, I will probably be one of like 2 or 3 people on staff that plays it, but that looks cool.
Quick question: Escha and Logi, is that supposed to be a play on the word eshalogs?
I did read somewhere that it is some kind of a pun or play on words, yeah. And I think it's pronounced Esca. I don't know if they'll.
No, I think it might be Esca. I think you're right. I am.
Yeah, I see it. I look at it and I see Escha, but yeah, Esca. And there's a lot of good. Like I don't know. We're supposed to get Witcher 3 this year, right?
Yeah.
I
wait,
think
no, actually, I'm not sure.
I don't think it's been officially announced. I think that they're pushing for 2014. I have a feeling that we're going to get that early 2015. But then again, they did say that now you know it might be 2014 because they were saying that Cyberpunk was shooting for 2015.
Did they say that? I don't remember them saying Cyberpunk.
They didn't officially say it. It was like hidden in the code of their.
Oh, you're right.
They were getting cute. And I remember saying that was a really long way off because we haven't seen anything about Cyberpunk except for the trailer. So I think that maybe.
Oh, such excite!
Oh, I'm really stoked. And you know the things that we saw out of the combat revisions in Witcher 2 make me really excited for Witcher 3. I think that they seem to.
They know what they got to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Witcher 2 was necessarily a horrible controlling game, but it was a little dicey, and some of their decisions were questionable. But they really fixed a lot of it up with their combat revamp.
Well, because they listen. That's the thing. They listen to people who play their games, and who better to tell them how to make them better?
Yep. I would say I'm very excited for a lot of announcements. I think that's kind of like, with the exception of that game that comes out on March 11th and still doesn't.
Can we stop beating around the bush and talk about Dark Souls? Really? Because I've been waiting for a while.
Doesn't Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero, or not 5, but Ground Zeroes come out on like March 19th, and then Infamous Second Son. Oh my god.
I'm getting both of those.
There's something else coming out in March that somebody just knocked it out of my head, but there's a lot.
Cosmic Star Heroine.
That was.
I don't think so.
No, I'm just trolling you.
First off, unless Metal Gear is coming to PC, I'm not interested. Like
they've already said they're working on a PC version.
No, they've said they're thinking about it. I don't think you can show me a news story where Kojima says explicitly that they're doing a PC version. I challenge you on that one, Steven.
Well, let's look at this. Konami wants to make more money. Metal Gear is their big franchise, and Castlevania. The last Castlevania that came out 3 years ago just got a PC version. Castlevania 2 is. And Metal Gear Rising just got a great PC port. I would be shocked
I think what they're seeing is that a lot of people are making money on PC, and I think the Japanese developers are starting to push there. I mean, they've said that Dark Souls 2 is being made first for PC, and then it's being ported.
And
So
Square said the same thing about 15 and KH3. So
yeah, so let's see what happens there. But I think it's easy for me to say Dark Souls 2 is my most anticipated game. At this point, I don't even think about it because I'm just like,
yeah, I don't either.
it's coming. And when it comes here, it takes over my life, and I'm ready to go. I'm just bummed that we don't have a PC a firm PC date yet, which has me a little nervous. And I'm also bummed because I do want that collector's edition on PC, and apparently you can only get it in Europe right now. That has me really bummed out, but you know what? Whatever. It's Dark Souls 2. I just wish the radio silence on the PC version has me really nervous right now. We're 2 months away.
Yeah, but you know what? Look at Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD. They were radio silent on the Vita version forever, and then they were just like, "It's coming. Here's all the details on it, like all at once."
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said for not telling people stuff before there's anything to tell them.
I know. I just would like if it was coming out in April, I'd want to know it's in April at this point. If it's coming out in May, I'd want to know it's May. I'm starting to get like, okay, this could maybe be coming out on PC a lot later than I was initially hoping, which would really bum me out. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if we had a delay on that game at this point, because remember, like, Dark Souls 2 had like a 2 week delay. Dark Souls 1 had like a 2 week delay or something, like right at the last minute. It would not surprise me. And that's also based on the fact that at TGS, they were saying right before Dark Souls 1 came out at E3, things were still not set in stone. They were still kind of screwing around with things about the game. So would not surprise me if that game got a little bit of a delay, like a month. Just throwing that one out there.
I don't think that would surprise me either.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super stoked for it. I'm really excited. I think everybody's saying the right things. Apparently, the original Dark Souls 1 director has had way more contact with the game ever since all those news stories came out. That could be PR speak. That could just be people saying, oh, yeah, no, he's totally involved. No, totally. Yeah, dude, yeah.
Hey, I look at it this way. I don't care who's involved as long as they get the tenets of the game right. And you don't have to have the original guy involved to do it. They had the original guy involved with episode 1, 2, and 3.
Very good point. So yeah, that's my most anticipated game. But outside of that, it's really just I'm excited for a lot of announcements. I want to hear what's going on with Fallout 4. I want to hear what's going out. I want to see more of Final Fantasy 15. I don't think we're going to get that this year. It's a lot of stuff that is unknown. Like, this is going to be the year. This is why I'm so excited to be going to E3. I feel like the doors are just going to be blown off with next-gen consoles. People are going to be like, and here's the stuff you've been waiting for. You're going to see this. You're going to see that. And I want to see a lot more chances with RPGs. And I think that the biggest space we're going to see that is the indie space.
Oh, yeah. Easy. Because a lot of Kickstarted RPGs are coming out this year.
Yeah.
Well, Torment, I think, is 2015, but Wasteland is coming out this year. Wasteland 2, rather.
Mm-hmm. Darkest Dungeon. We talked to those guys on the last show.
I sure hope that comes out this year. That sounds great.
Hyper. I keep forgetting the name of it. Hyper something.
Hyper Light Drifter.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I
don't know if that's this year, but I agree.
I think it's November. They dated it, or not November. They dated it pretty early in the year. I was just looking at this right before we started podcasting. I want to say like June or something. But yeah, it's slated to come out this year.
And then we have a preview. I played it at Magfest for Chasm coming. Rob, buy Chasm. You're gonna love it.
What is it?
It's basically a Castlevania style game, and it's awesome.
Chasm coming.
It's just called Chasm.
Just call it Chasm.
Yeah, they kickstarted it. They got back. They brought it to Magfest. Controls are super tight. Great graphics. The areas are randomized. The rooms are not.
Oh yeah, you did show me this. I can't stand the art style.
Dude, it's awesome. Stop hating pixel art.
No. I love pixel art, but for whatever reason, like you showed me this game, and then what was the other one? Valdis on Steam.
That one's not.
Story. That's out, and that's not pixel art. And also that game.
Yeah, but I just can't stand that art style. Like and Dust. I don't like that kind of art style. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't.
Chasm doesn't look like Dust or Valdis.
No, it's
very different.
Very pixel.
Also, I think we might actually see an HD port of Type 0 this year, like a PS Vita, PS3 crossplay. They really want that. Having beaten it, there's no reason that game shouldn't come out here. It's one of the best Final Fantasies I've played in a while.
So bad.
Agito is coming out here, so I'm looking forward
I have
to.
an iPad now.
I'm looking forward to Persona 5 and Persona Q. I don't know if those are coming out this year. I'm kind of
yeah, I
hoping.
totally forgot
Q
about Persona
is.
5.
But P5 is going to be baller.
Yeah. It's gonna be ridiculous.
When does this Chasm game come out? It actually does look kind of cool. So.
Sometime this year. They're aiming for summer.
Okay.
Dude, seriously, I played the demo. I am firmly confident you will find it awesome. I think it is the kind of game you will. They go, we're not trying to please everybody. They go, but we're trying to make the game challenging, so it's like the Castlevanias you remember, where it's rewarding when you accomplish something and find something. And I'm like, oh yes.
I think I think we can throw predictions in here while we're having fun and just kind of kibitzing. I think we'll get the new
nice.
What?
Good job, host. Kibitzing, great word.
I'm having fun tonight, and I'm really excited because $400 to go to E3 is not too bad. So I'm like,
yeah.
I think we're gonna get a Deus Ex announcement. I think that
I agree.
I think very quickly after Thief is released.
Or maybe you don't think before?
No, I think they're gonna. I mean, Thief comes out in a month.
Oh, all right. Yeah, all right, true. I think Deus Ex is something they would save for E3, given how big that is now. Because they made they sold a lot of Deus Ex.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what those guys do. Playing through Human Revolution again, I mean that really got me more psyched because I forgot how much I like that game. I think I kind of spun out on it, like trying to play it twice in real rapid succession, like once for review and then once just to play around with it. And the PC port had some problems at first, like the load times were really bad, but they really fixed that game up, and it was really a special game.
Not that was Square explicitly, but Square is really moving to right a lot of the wrongs they've made for a few years. And Deus Ex, I think, really showed that where, you got the game for $5 or $10 if you already owned it.
That was awesome.
They fixed problems. There are games by AAA studios, Battlefield 4, that are almost unplayable for some people that they've done nothing about. And Square had that fixed, in like 2 weeks?
I think it was right around the time the game came out, because it was for the review code was having problems with it, but they fixed it up, and I just think that Deus Ex, I'm really excited to hear about that. We did kind of hear about some Eidos Montreal problems. They made a studio that was apparently going to make the next Hitman game, and that's been killed. So that has me a little bit nervous. What do we feel about Square Enix's financials as of late?
Well, they haven't said much, but their games have been selling better. They've managed expectations. 14 blew their expectations out of the water.
That's true.
And last time I checked 2 weeks ago, they are not experiencing what the Old Republic did, which was hey, we had a bajillion people subscribing, and then half of them quit. That does not seem to be the case with 14, probably because it's awesome, unlike Old Republic, which is not awesome. Forgive me if you like Old Republic.
Ouch.
Dave
just started crying a little bit.
What about...
the thing is, one of those games has creativity behind it. One of them has a corporate faceless monster.
Ouch. Wait. I'm going to ask some rapid-fire questions about Square Enix, okay? I want yes or no's, okay?
No, yes, no.
All right.
I agree with Derek.
Dragon Quest X in America.
That's actually iffy. I feel like if it's going to come here, it's going to be the PC version.
I agree.
And I hope that it does, but I'm not sure because it's been a little while since it came out, and they're already readying the first expansion, and we haven't heard a damn word. So.
Hey, they're making a sequel to Bravely Default, and we're getting that next month.
The original Bravely Default, just to avoid confusion.
But we're getting the updated version of the original Bravely Default.
I know.
So.
I was just avoiding confusion. Dragon Quest VII on 3DS.
No, but I wish we would.
Yeah, I really want to play that.
I feel like,
I vote don't care.
You don't, Rob. You do not.
No,
Dragon Quest VII is by far the most inaccessible game in the series, because it is so freaking long.
But fixed up. They apparently fixed up the whole beginning. Of the
because
game.
The Dragon Quest VII Dragon Warrior 7 on PS1. You don't fight your first battle until you're like 7 hours in.
Yeah, apparently they fixed that for the 3DS version.
All right, well,
I agree with you, but like that. Yeah.
But I like it. I never like. I didn't even really make that much progress in it. I think I probably put about 15 hours into it ever. But I wish it would come out here because I'd love to give it another chance, and I've become a bigger fan of Dragon Quest. I know Steven isn't. Not that that's relevant because I can have my own opinions. So
I don't hate Dragon Quest. I nothing it.
Can Mom and Dad stop fighting?
Yes.
All right.
Mommy was gone for a while, so Daddy's been lonely. I don't know why Steven's mommy.
My God. Final Fantasy 15 in 2014.
No.
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 But I wish it would. Again,
Actually, wait. I take that back. Maybe in Japan, possibly Q4. Maybe.
I could see a December release in Japan, maybe.
And-
I could not disagree more. I don't think there is a snowball's chance in hell of that
That's
game
why I said
coming out.
maybe.
They've showed a lot more of that game than they normally show of their in progress stuff, though.
I think by a lot more you mean just like a really nice looking video that I don't know how much of that was gameplay.
Well, let's wait and see. I personally think it was all gameplay.
I'm going to be cautiously optimistic.
Well, I think it was. I think it was all in engine, and I think the parts with a HUD were gameplay for sure. And I mean, they said it was. Maybe. I think we're past the age of this is definitely Killzone 2.
Okay, let's keep going rapid fire with some more stuff. Deep Down, utter disappointment, yes or no?
No.
I think that game will be disastrous.
I don't like
I don't really
free to
know
play. I don't like free to play. Not a fan of free to play. Path of Exile changed my mind a little bit. Deep Down has a really neat concept. It's Assassin's Creed plus Dark Souls. I hate one of those series. So there's a 50% chance that I will love this game.
Since
I
when do you
like
play Dark Souls.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know, it's new.
sure,
I
sure,
just
sure.
recently played AC4 and loved it. Actually, I did kind of like AC4, but that's neither here nor there.
Alright.
I like the concept they're going for with it, and I like the style of combat they're aiming for. Call me an elitist, whatever you want to call me. I can't dig the mobile thing, and I always associate mobile with free to play because it's just cheap, cheap, cheap. But this game looks anything but cheap, so I don't know. I got nothing. I don't think it'll be a big disappointment though.
Okay.
Better than Dragon's Dogma.
I think we've already talked about the fact that free-to-play games tend to lend themselves to a structure where you cannot progress without dumping money into it, and you always hit a wall that
Or
you cannot
hours.
surmount without a ridiculous amount of time or money investment. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Moving away from RPGs just really briefly because I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, modern day Dracula walking around science laboratories. Go.
What
The hell? Like,
You know what? I'm tired of not wearing it on my sleeve. I love crazy crap,
I do too.
and I enjoyed that demo. There were parts of the demo I didn't like at E3. The combat was super tight. It was gorgeous, great art design. I liked Lords of Shadow well enough. Maybe a 7 if I had to give it a number, which I don't like to do, but I thought it was fun. Certainly better than the last few 3D Castlevanias, other than maybe Lament of Innocence. Yeah, I will play it for sure. I like wackiness.
I don't like to be negative or anything, but I haven't really played the first one. I played a demo of it, and that's it. And I played the demo of Lords of Shadow 2 at E3 and was severely underwhelmed, although, again, it was a demo, and I don't want to fully judge the game just based
It
on
was
that.
a bad demo. It was a bad demo.
Really?
I would say
We're
that.
talking
Oh,
about
really?
bad
So,
demos, huh?
oh yeah, demos can be.
I'm just kidding.
I was just blown away by how different that game looked because I was always like, well, when are they going to show the modern setting stuff? And they didn't just show like him hanging out in like a gothic looking like future. No, he's like full on in science laboratories with stealth kills. And I was like,
Yeah,
what
isn't
the?
that
Wait,
cool,
that's
though?
happening?
Yeah,
Why is
that's
it so
happening.
Freaking wacky! It's so cool because like they hinted at that with Ario Sarla, like it's in the future, and then you were in Castlevania the whole time. So it's like, yeah, I'm in the future, meaning a couple of the weapons are guns.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this game, but I went from being like, because the problem was I played Lords of Shadow on the PC, which playing that game at a rock solid 60 frames per second was awesome. The only problem was that game has horrible pacing issues, and a lot of the enemies are cheap as hell. Like they have no wind up animation, and almost every enemy in that game has a splash attack that I just can't stand. It's really lazy. But the worst.
I don't know if I'd use lazy, but it is annoying.
It's very annoying. And the biggest problem with that game is that the 2 pieces of DLC that they made were god awful, including like this absolutely train wreck of a final battle that is just not fun and goes against everything that you've been doing in the game. So that left a really, really bad taste in my mouth, but then I forget that there were sections of Lords of Shadow 1 that were really awesome. And so let's see what they want to do, but I'm with Steven. It looks crazy. Okay, getting back to RPGs. Something question. Dragon Age Inquisition. Is it the BioWare apology that we're all looking for?
I think it
No.
looks really cool.
I think it looks yes. What Derek said. I think it looks cool. I don't think it's the BioWare apology. I think it is. I think the tactical cam is completely lip service because the demo they showed looks like it doesn't need the tactical cam at all. Looks very simplified because, let's face it, it's an EA game. It has to sell 1 billion copies to be successful. It's got to appeal to a million people. It's going to be advertised at the same kind of crap you saw Dragon Age 2 advertised with. It could be fun. It looks fun. But I think that a lot of what they're claiming is going to be great about it is lip service. I think it's going to be dumbed down Dragon Age 2 with Skyrim-style world size.
Ow. Damn.
Well, when I'm right and we talk about it, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. I think at this point, BioWare, the burden of the proof is on BioWare because they lied a lot about Mass Effect 3.
I'd say they lied a lot about Dragon Age 2 as well.
No, I'd agree. And a lot of people are going to say, no, conspiracy theorist. No, they said there's 26 endings in Mass Effect 3. There were not. They said a lot of stuff that was not true or that was like true based on a certain point of view.
Yeah.
So
Obi-Wan.
Yes, I am very skeptical. I will probably play it because I think the demo looks great. I don't think it'll be what they're promising it'll be.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I got, is that while watching that demo, I went, this looks really cool, but I don't think it's Dragon Age, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think Dragon Age Origins is a very slow, methodical, point-and-click RPG of, like, setting up tactics and really analyzing the battlefield. Dragon Age 2 was kind of...
Not that.
It had punchy combat, but it had terrible level design, and it just lacked a lot of depth. I think they're going more in the action route, which could be a good thing. But I kind of agree with Steven that the tactical view just didn't look like it was that...
necessary.
It didn't look necessary, but it was kind of cool to see a mage rain down hellfire, but I also saw that in Dragon Age 2. I don't think it's going to be the sequel to Origins. I think it could still be a very good game, though.
Yeah, exactly. I think it could be a very fun game with good writing that I will enjoy. But do I think it's going to be what the people who hated 2 because they wanted it to be Origins will? Because Skyrim made a bunch of money. Nobody in the industry at AAA can ignore that. And the fact is, it's going to be Skyrim Age.
When do we get the Fallout 4 announcement?
God, soon, I hope.
That was really frustrating. The VGX, it felt... That's why the VGX ended up, like, not surprising anyone, because that felt like they were all ready to go. We had that freaking annoying hoax going on. If I do go to E3, I am going to actually kill John and wear his skin so I can go to the Bethesda booth and see
He's not going to E3 this year.
Well, then I am going to kill him and take his skin and go to the Bethesda booth, and I am sitting in on that. Because that also means I get to see my second most anticipated game of the year, The Evil Within.
Barbie's First Adventures 3?
Yes, that is actually...
South Park, The Evil Within.
South Park... So first off, I know I'm off topic, but good Lord, please let The Evil Within be good. I will build several churches in your honor if The Evil Within is good.
He pretty much said he wants to make Resident Evil 4 too, so it's going to be fine.
Between that and the new Alien Isolation, this could be a really good year for horror. That's a sidebar, but like... I really like the fact that we have 2 big budget horror titles that...
I'd like to sidebar your sidebar and say the last Alien game was so bad it got people sued.
That's true. I think they have a lot of damage control to do, but from what they showed, that game looked really good. But then again, we were lied to quite a bit. So bear in mind. So The Evil Within, somebody said Barbie Horse Adventures, and then somebody brought up, yes, South Park The Stick of Truth. I think South Park sucks. I'm throwing that out there. I think that game is going to... I think the game is going to suck. I really think that game is going to suck.
It looks like... What it looks like to me is the kind of game where... Because they showed that gameplay demo, right?
Which looked weird.
What it looks like to me is the kind of game that you think it's going to have all of these interesting mechanics that are built off of specific gameplay segments. Like how in the gameplay demo they showed a thing where... It's I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was like there's somebody in the background, right? So you could throw like a bomb into the background or whatever. That's something that's specific to that exact point in the game. They're probably going to have like 3 of those throughout the whole game, but they're building it up like, oh yeah, it's based all around this innovative combat system where your environment can be used to your advantage, and it's like, no, that's probably BS. And that's me being pessimistic about it, to be honest. But I feel like they're hyping up features that aren't actually going to be relevant or present in the full game.
Yeah, I agree with Derek 100%.
I feel terrible for asking this, but you're talking about South Park, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, you forgot what we were talking about?
Yes.
Okay, you might have been playing the Bravely Default demo.
I agree.
No, actually, I'm not.
I agree with Derek. From that demo that I saw something. I felt like I was seeing a tech demo. I felt like I was seeing, in a lot of ways, I felt like it was the original pitch video for Final Fantasy 13, where I was like, I can't quite tell what's going on. Everything kind of seems a little weird. I agree 100% with Derek's thing about like that one scene where he threw a rock at a kid outside of combat. That seemed very stilted. And the long development cycle on that game is not a good sign. I think South Park comes out and sucks hard. I will be so happy if I'm wrong. Let me just be clear on that. If I'm wrong, I will be the first one to eat crow on this show and go, really glad Obsidian pulled it off, but I think that game is going to be a train wreck.
I am going to be more middle ground and say that I think it looks neat. Maybe it won't blow the doors off everybody, but I think it'll be a solid RPG with South Park stuff in it.
I'm just kind of apathetic about it. I try not to. My general life philosophy is if there's something that I'm not super interested in, I just kind of say it's not for me. Instead of I'll criticize stuff, sure, with the intent of trying to analyze and or talk about how it could be improved. But I shy away from generally just being like, oh, this sucks, because I feel like that doesn't actually
contribute anything to a conversation,
to any discussion whatsoever. So I don't really care that much about it. But I mean, it could be good if it comes out and it's good, awesome. But whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of that's honestly how I feel too. I mean, my thoughts on certain games are everybody's well known, but at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, if Steven likes Beyond Two Souls, that's great. I don't see it, but I understand what he's looking for, and that's great that he enjoys it. And I'm not going to be one of these fools that goes online and starts going like, really, you like that game? Pooh. Like,
let me make you feel stupid about your opinion.
No, I'm sorry. Like, people enjoy the games that you like. I'm having a ball with Deadly Premonition, and that game is terrible to play.
I want to play that so much.
It's so funny
because understand that game.
No, okay. So let me explain Deadly Premonition briefly. The
RPG
gameplay.
Podcast.
I know, but I'm going to explain it briefly. The gameplay is terrible. The gameplay is god awful. You do not play that game for the gameplay. You're going to want to get through the shooting sections as quickly as possible. They are awful. The story seems so bizarre and silly and tongue-in-cheek, and the room levels of awful at the start that you're going to have no clue what's going on. Then when the actual murder mystery starts taking over, it actually gets really interesting. Like, you're kind of intrigued by these characters and you want to learn more about them. And the game starts to pull back on the silliness. And there's still some silliness here and there, but it starts to pull back. And I'm like 12 hours into this game, and I'm totally invested.
Rob, have you tried the Sinner Sandwich?
No, but I keep looking at my coffee to try to figure out what's going on.
What?
Don't worry about it.
There's this vile sandwich they eat in the game called the Sinner Sandwich.
Yep.
And
okay.
I forget what's in it, but a bunch of people made it and ate it and blogged about it, and it was.
It's just a weird game that you have to experience, but don't spend more than $10 on it.
All right, before we go off back to what we actually just supposed to discuss, would I like it, Rob?
It just seems goofy as hell.
I don't think you will, Steven.
Keep in mind, I like Tenchu. Tenchu's busted and stupid, but hilariously awesome.
I don't think you'll like it, but it's one of those games that I really wish you'd give it a shot.
That tells me you think I might like it, maybe.
Maybe, possibly. Okay, moving on. More. Let's do some crazy, wacky predictions.
Man Puts a Dog on the Moon, 2014.
What is it?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
You said Man Puts a Dog on the Moon.
Oh God.
It's a crazy prediction, right?
I need something crazy. I think we find out more about Unsung Story, the guy who made Tactics Ogre.
Yasumi Matsuno?
Yeah.
They just announced that it's going to be episodic.
Yeah, but they still haven't said if it's going to be on anything other than iOS, and that really cheeses me off a little bit.
I agree.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Just God, put it on the Vita or something. Please.
Yeah, from now on, you know what? Sony's made it easy to develop. I'm not a developer, saying that totally out of my butt again. If you're going to make your game on iOS, just shut up and stop. Put it on Vita, so I'll give a crap about it. And I know that's elitist.
Please.
You can hate me all you want, but I don't want to play a game on my phone or my iPad. I don't have an
Buttons,
iPad.
please.
What?
I just said buttons, please.
Yes.
Yes, buttons. Buttons that I don't have to purchase an external controller for.
I like tactile feedback. What can I say?
I agree.
I like Square Triangle X and O, big dog.
Yep.
Do we get any other major? I feel like if we're gonna get new RPG announcements, because we already know Persona 5's coming, Fallout 4 will most likely be announced at E3. That's my prediction right there. I feel like we might see some new IP, which might be really exciting.
I would like that. Yeah, I feel like we've gotten. I don't want to say super stagnant, but at least with the AAA developers, there have been really few risks or new IPs as far as RPGs go, and I'm not basing that off of any evidence that I have in front of me. I'm thinking about it, and I can't think of a lot of brand new IPs that came out over the last year or so. I mean, like, I don't know why it jumped into my head, but there's Nippon Ichi did Fairy Fencer F, but I don't really care about that.
Amalur came out 3 years ago. Oh my god.
Yeah, too bad that game tanked.
Well, it didn't. It tanked because they spent way too much money on it. But vis-a-vis a new, that was the wrong use of that. But for a new IP, it sold like a couple million or $1 million or so. So that's pretty good for a new IP. They just had stupid high expectations.
Yeah, I would love to see a new IP out of Square Enix because they have the potential to do amazing things when they do them well.
Bahamut Lagoon.
Nah, I'll pass. But I would love to see either a new IP or it's selfish, but I would love to see a new Chrono game that isn't bad. I don't really know how else to phrase that.
I don't think
that's not saying Chrono Cross is bad. I love Chrono Trigger and Cross. We've discussed this. I want them to put out a new Chrono game, but I don't want it to be like Chrono Mobile Break for iOS.
You don't want it to come out and have zippers like no. You basically what you're saying is you don't want Tetsuya Nomura to make.
I don't give a damn about zippers, you people. You guys always bring up the zippers. I don't freaking care.
All right, here. I love Kingdom Hearts. I'm excited for 15. Tetsuya Nomura has become a terrible character designer. There's too much.
Thank you.
It's too fashiony. It's too flash. There's not enough substance, and I don't feel like. All right, if somebody at Square Enix is going to make a new Chrono game, it needs to be Yoshi P because he understands that substance is more important than style.
Yoshi P
he can still do style. Chrono Cross had style, but Chrono Cross was more about heart first. So was Chrono Trigger, and that's why I would never ever want Tetsuya Nomura or Nojima to be involved with a new Chrono game.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want him to design Chrono characters. It's just not his style.
Their design is very
awful.
What's the word I'm looking for? No. I'm talking about Chrono style. Like it's very pastoral. It's subdued. Like people look nuts. Like there's a spaceman and stuff, but it's all
there is a block of wood.
Yeah, like look at Serge's outfit. Serge's outfit is like a blue dress, basically. Like it's all very like people. You know what I'm saying though? Like the design of a character from Kingdom Hearts.
I think
Final Fantasy post 8.
It's whimsical. I think a little bit more so.
Yeah, I guess whimsical, but like.
Did you hear how angry he sounded when he had to admit that? Did you hear that?
It's practical. Like, look at anybody from a Final Fantasy designed by Nomura or Kingdom Hearts. They look insane. Whereas the Chrono characters just look like they're wearing clothes that have, a design to them.
I suppose.
Like, they're stylized, but they're not like, I have a zipper on top of my arm pocket attached to my elbow with my keyblade inside of it with a keychain attached to my split zipper. Like, or like Zidane's leg thing that's like a net. Like, what is that? What?
You mean Titus?
Yes, that's exactly what I meant. I would never criticize Zidane's design. It's wonderful. Thank you, Amano.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. Please, God, never make another Chrono game. Like, because at this point, I feel like that would kill me. Between Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Final Fantasy, it's like my whole childhood's been ruined. Just leave Chrono.
Final Fantasy 14 is amazing, and the new Star Wars could be excellent. It can't possibly be as bad as the last few.
No.
Stop getting me off topic.
No, I watched Into Darkness again. If you take the con stuff out of it, that movie still makes absolutely no sense.
But it wasn't written by the people who are writing Star Wars.
Yeah, and they're rewriting canon, and apparently we're going to have Han, Leia, and Luke in it as old people to pass the torch. This sounds like a great idea.
There's nothing wrong with having old characters in it. Some of the best Star Wars novels had old Han and Leia.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You want to know what I want out of Star Wars? I want a completely new time period, and I don't want to see one goddamn lightsaber.
I don't disagree with the latter.
I want just... There is so much more to that universe. Show me something else. We are way off topic, but that's how I feel.
That's all right.
Stop baiting me with topics and then telling me I can't talk about them. You're abusing your position.
Would you like to move on to news? Are you ready?
I feel like we all
I
need
was
one.
born ready.
We all need one big one. Like, okay, to end this part, and we'll move into news. What's one thing that you're really hoping for this year? Just
Persona
one.
5.
Well, okay. No, no. Yeah, all right, that's fine.
One thing that hasn't like been announced, or
I don't know, just like one thing, one trend, like something. If you could change gaming this year, what's the one thing you'd want to see?
well, I want The Last Guardian to come out, but that's not a trend. That's just a game.
Stop asking for impossible things.
Well, I'm sorry. I want a dog on the moon.
I want a dragon bat.
I don't know why I'm fixated on that right now. I don't know. I can't really think of any trends necessarily. I want to see some more developers embrace the Vita because there have been some good games coming out for it, and I think that there's a lot of potential, and by a lot I mean an incredibly immense amount of potential with PS4 Vita connectivity. As we know, remote play is amazing, and I just want to see more. I would like to see more games for the Vita in general, but also more utilization of that connectivity to to bring us neat experiences. Like, I appreciate the fact that Final Fantasy XIV's PS4 version is going to have remote play, which I don't know why it wouldn't, but they confirmed that it would. So I just think that it's cool that I could say play FF14 and do some dungeons or whatever, and then as the night's winding down, I'm like, all right, I need to get off the computer. I can take my Vita over to my bed and just craft for a little while before I go to sleep. Like, I want more unique gaming experiences like that, things that we couldn't do with previous technology, and I want to see more developers trying to innovate.
I think I don't have a way I'd change the industry. Is going to start happening, and I'm excited about that. As for what I would really like to have happen this year, this is going to seem very specific, but I would really like it if Kingdom Hearts 2.5, the Birth by Sleep HD, has online play for the multiplayer component, because it's incredibly fun. The co-op battles are awesome, and it will functionally render the content useless if you can't do online play, because there's no way you'll be able to do local with it. So I really hope Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5, Square adds multiplayer, like online connectivity to Birth by Sleep.
That would be cool, and that reminds me of something else that I want that doesn't exist.
The Wolf Among Us Episode 2?
Yes, but that will exist.
Thankfully.
I really, really, really want a PS3 Dissidia with online multiplayer, because holy crap, Dissidia.
Yeah, Dissidia was
Love Dissidia. Like, something about Dissidia is probably my favorite game on the PSP, and Theater Rhythm is probably my favorite game on the 3DS. Not just because they're Final Fantasy games, but I love rhythm games, and I would say I really enjoy fighting games, but the fact that Dissidia is a fighting-ish game that has so much fan service and so much good music and such fun gameplay, like, those games are so original, and I love them so much. I really, really want to see a console Dissidia so bad.
Yeah, a new Dissidia. You should have. It's so important that you say that, because I put like 200 hours on the Japanese version of the first Dissidia, and then like another 50 on the English version, and they're so much fun to play with a friend. They're great single player because there's tons of unlockable stuff, and just the combat looks awesome. Like, it's pure fan service, but I can be bought. And if your method of purchasing me is letting Zidane and Kuja fight in HD with that crazy anti-gravity nonsense going on at Dissidia, then you succeeded.
I like it. For me, mine's kind of more of an idea for the games industry, and one that I'm feeling very strong about. The more I think about it, I want the games industry to stop nickel and diming me. I really want them to stop nickel and diming me. What do I mean by that? I want them.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
No, it's kind of it's severalfold. It gets back to our argument about free-to-play games. I don't want to play a free-to-play game that's been designed to screw me up and prevent progress to the point where I need to go out and start purchasing things, booster packs or whatever. I don't want to play games that advertise, okay, Rob, you can do it for this, you could do it right now, and, hey, it'll only cost you 30 cents to get that upgrade for Dead Space 3. You want that? You want some of that stuff? That stuff needs to stop. The stuff needs to stop. The stuff that I've heard about how disgusting Forza is with that, the Lays Forza on Xbox One, that's crazy.
Oh yeah, I hear it's pretty rough.
That needs to stop. pre-order bonuses, like the whole, well, if you pre-order from Best Buy, you get this hat, but if you pre-order from
Yeah.
EB Games,
I
you
hate
get
that.
this gun, or if you pre-order from Amazon, you get this level. Stop that.
Yes, stop that.
Stop
I'm a
Yeah,
that.
I would
completionist,
love
and
to
that
not,
hurts me.
because there's no way that you can get all of that unless you buy that game at all those places,
Yep.
which is absurd because they're not worth that.
Yep.
And
So
I'd
you're
also
never going to get the complete, quote unquote, complete experience, you know?
I also wanted to immediately cut off the counter argument to that, which is, well, they always end up releasing it eventually for free. I don't want it 10 months later when I'm never going to play that game again.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
want it now, so just stop.
And then the last part is something that, I think we had a lot and Jim Sterling talked about it this week, so I'm not doing anything special here, and I am kind of parroting his point. We saw a lot of early success with alpha builds of games and incomplete games and being able to buy games like Minecraft that weren't quite ready to play yet. I think it's gotten to a level of disgusting when you look on Steam and you see 85 pages worth of games that you can play now by buying it now, but it's not really ready and it's not really complete. And, there's so many aspects to it, but we'll take your money right now. That we saw how bad that was with the War Z, with a game that was released on Steam, but people
Yeah,
had to get refunds.
I
That
agree.
needs to stop.
That can be done badly, but it can also be done well. That's not fair to the people who use it reasonably. Starbound is a fantastic game with a crapload of stuff to
No,
do in it.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So
But what I'm saying is that if the AAA game development studios have a real problem with manufacturing games and putting microtransactions in and stifling creativity, the indie developers are starting to take a little bit of advantage of, hey, we can put our game out there and it's not feature complete yet, but we'll gladly take your money. The fact that Wasteland 2 is $60 on Steam right now, even though when the game comes out it's going to be 20, but they have the balls to put that game out there for 60 bucks and potentially scam people out of money for a game that is not complete yet that will be $20 when it comes out. That's not right. And that kind of crap could really screw up indie development, and these guys need to be very careful of that. If AAA development has a problem with stifling creativity, then indie development needs to stop taking advantage of people. That needs to cut it out. I agree with you, Steven. Some guys are doing it really, really well. I thought Clay did an awesome job. Clay, whatever you want to call it. I thought they did an awesome job with Don't Starve, and they were very upfront with what they're doing. But there's a lot of crap on Steam right now, and eventually that could choke you out. The reason we had the video game crash back in the 1980s was because that there was a ton of crap games out there, and stupid people didn't know what they were buying. That could happen again, and the indie developers need to be very careful of that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get like super serious there, but I'm just really, really pissed off about it. I'm really pissed off that like some kid that maybe sees a game and they're like, "Hey, this looks really interesting." Maybe they're not reading the fine print or in the forums that game's not complete. I'm not
Right.
really
I don't agree with that. Buyer beware, dude. Like, to an extent, I don't agree with that philosophy, but the internet is available for you. Don't buy a video game that has a giant sticker on it that says "I'm not done yet," and then be like, "I didn't know what I was getting into." You can easily go to the board for that game and say, "Hey, how far along is this? Should I buy it now or should I buy it later?" Because some games are like Starbound, where the game is, you can play it. There's tons of stuff to do, but there's going to be adding more. And some games are like, yeah, core functions aren't in here yet, so you're really playing an alpha.
I know. I'm just saying I think we need to be careful here. I really, really do, because that can destroy a lot of goodwill that you've created with the indie development movement. And I just think it's a little sick right now. And I'm just, you know, let wait until your game's more feature complete. Put your game out there when you're proud of it, when you're ready to go. And there is something to be said for seeing how a game develops. I think that that's also a cool idea too. But I just, something about this really makes me nervous, and I think it could end up really hurting the industry. That's just me. Stop nickel and diming me. Stop nickel
I
and
agree.
diming
I'm
me.
sick of that
I'm,
too.
I'm okay with that, yeah.
Okay, news.
Okay, Well, the last time we put out a podcast, I think it was mid-December. I want to say the date was like the 18th or
Yeah,
16th or so.
I'm not doing a good
So
job of keeping us regular. I apologize for
eh,
that.
it was no, it was
You
the
say
holidays
to
just
the
passed.
guy that hasn't posted a music podcast in 2 months.
Well,
True.
it was the holiday season. We were all busy, and
And I was hilariously ill.
many of us
so
were away.
thank you.
Yeah, Stephen was not hilariously ill because I do not take joy in Stephen's pain. But so it's
It
been a
was
little
painful.
while. Let's see. So last month they did release. I'm sorry, rather they announced an official release date for Professor Layton versus Ace Attorney. It's going to be coming out on March 28th in Europe. And to be honest, I'm not sure if they've announced an official US date for it in the interim. I don't think they have, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it around then. Although March is so absurdly jam-packed with game releases that I don't want it to come out in March because I want that game, but I don't want it to be overshadowed by everything else ever. Because everything else ever is already coming out that month.
Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, Dark Souls 2 is pretty much everything else ever.
Nope. And in addition to that, I'm just kidding. Well, a little bit.
I will destroy you!
I know. New Ace Attorney game is already in development, which is really awesome because, yeah, I think I seem to remember them saying, well, we want to make more, but it depends on how well Ace Attorney 5 does. Apparently, it did well enough in Japan and out here that they're already working on the next title. So that's really cool. The Ace Attorney series is so good, and Ace Attorney 5 was one of the best yet. I wouldn't say it was the very best, but I'd probably say it was the second best. Excellent game. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it comes out here based on how well Ace Attorney 5 did. So on the PS4 side of things, Final Fantasy XIV is slated for I think it's a March release, but the beta for that is going to be starting on February 22nd for PS4. So if you are interested in that, you will get access to the beta. You don't even need PlayStation Plus to get in. All you need to do is have a PS4. So you can see why we named that our game of the year if you play it or you think we're insane. I know a lot of people voiced their dissent. And
They only said that because it was an MMO.
Not sorry, honestly, because Final Fantasy XIV is a really good game, and it's absolutely worthy of the praise that we gave it. And I stand by it. So,
I do too.
5PB, also known as Mages, the development studio that made the games Chaos Head and Steins Gate, has announced their latest visual novel. It has an insane name. It's called Cadence Fermata Accord Fortissimo.
Excuse me?
And yeah, think about that one. Musical.
I can't.
So we don't really know anything about it. It has something to do. This is what the news article says. The story has something to do with battles between transcendent theosophy and mythological creation.
What?
So, well, the thing about
Japan.
5PB is they make games that are insane, but everything within the context of the story and the setup is always really, really interesting. We haven't gotten robotics notes here. Well, Steins Gate, the game is coming out here really soon, the English version for PC. We never got Chaos Head as far as I'm aware. But they made animes for both Chaos Head and Steins Gate. I've seen both of them, and they're both crazy but get really interesting, especially after the halfway point. Their pedigree seems to be creating really obnoxious, unlikable main characters that turn into really likable main characters.
Like Luke from Tales of the
Like
Abyss.
Luke. Yep, Luke is the first person I always think of. So the only characters they revealed for this are 3 girl characters. I don't know if any of them are the protagonist, but is Grill. I'm just interested to see how it goes. Robotics Notes, the anime is coming out here soon. So if you like visual novels at all, I would really highly recommend checking into them. Like I said, Steins Gate is coming out here soon. And if you don't want to play them, there are at least anime adaptations of all 3 of those. Chaos Head, Steins Gate, Robotics Notes. They're all really, really interesting stories. So hopefully that game comes here. They're cool. And finally, the Saga series is coming up on its 25th anniversary this year. So December of 2014 marks 25 years since the first Saga game came out. Those do include the games that were marketed, or rather released in the US as Final Fantasy Legend 1, 2, and 3. Those were actually, I don't know if they were called Romancing Saga in Japan or just Saga. But yeah, so the Saga series is turning 25 this year. So the Saga series creator is teasing that they do have some new developments in mind. So
that's exciting.
I do hope that more things happen. I think Saga is kind of an underrated series that has It has some really cool games. Saga is like it's so uneven. Like there are some games that are really really interesting and some games that are just crap like Unlimited Saga. Although Unlimited Saga, I'm one of like probably 3 people in the universe. I'm not trying to be a hipster about it. I think that Unlimited Saga is a really fascinating game. I don't think it's a great game, but I was so hyped for it before it came out. I think it has great music and cool art, and I feel like it's possible to get enjoyment out of that game. But yeah, like this, I played so much Saga Frontier 1 when I was a kid. It was one of my go-to games on the PS1, and I poured hundreds of hours into it and I beat it with like 2 people maybe because it's hard as crap. But yeah, so it would
Yeah,
be
it
really
was.
cool to see some new Saga stuff. I'd love to see a next gen Saga game of some kind, although I can't see them making like a PS4 Saga game. If anything, I feel like they'll make a
3DS.
yeah, like probably like a 3DS game. I remember there was a trademark last year or the year before for I want to say it was Emperor Saga, some kind of mobile. It was like a MOBA card game, of course, or not MOBA. What do they call those? MOBA gay.
Multiplayer online battle arena.
No, not those. Yeah, like the MOBA gay, the mobile gaming Japan sub hybrid thing. Like the ones where they have like Final Fantasy Airborne Brigade, where they have annoying time locked features like come back tomorrow and you'll have 10 energy points to play this game where you click the thing. So anyway, new Saga game possibly coming out this year, or at least being announced this year. So that would be cool. And that's all I have for news today.
All right.
Wasn't even a thing.
It was a sudden stop, but I think we're okay.
No, that's all I've got.
Yep. So on the Steam sale, I bought like how many Ys games did I buy? I bought Ys 1, 2, Origin, and the Oath and Felghana because they were like $10.
Yay.
I'm gonna start off with the Ys Origins. Am I gonna like it?
I wouldn't. It's really tough to say. I feel like I probably change my advice whenever I give this advice because I feel like Ys 1 and 2 are super archaic, but they're really solid games. You just have to know exactly what to expect when you play them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Oath and Felghana is the most well-rounded Ys game and probably the best introduction to the series in terms of like mechanics. So if you play that and you like it, you'll like all the rest. Like
Okay.
guaranteed.
Okay.
So
Okay.
and it's standalone in terms of plot. And
Yeah,
you
that's
can
kind
It
of
go back.
also won't take up too much of your time. You can beat it in like 5 hours with each character.
Oh,
it's-
really?
No, that's
Yeah,
that's
it's
Origin. We're
Oh,
talking
sorry,
about-
yeah, Origin. Oh, Origin is fun. I think Rob would like it. It doesn't waste your time. It's just a game about having fun that it
Origin.
ends.
I love Origin also. The only reason why I would recommend Oath first is because you actually do get some interesting plot connections between Ys 1 and 2 and Origin. I would say stronger. There's stronger plot threads that connect the two of those than any other game in the series or games in the series. So it's worth getting that extra plot out of them because I think it's fascinating. But in terms of gameplay, you can't go wrong with Oath or Origin.
How long are the games? Like that, I think that's one of the things that I'm like a little,
None
Oath
of them
is
are very long.
like 8 to 12 hours.
so they're not massive games.
Yeah, Origin has 3 characters. The first 2 characters will probably take you like 5 to 7 apiece, and the third character will take you like 10
If I decided to
And
do them.
if you decide to do it. But it's
That
totally
and the third character is by far the most interesting, though.
yeah. And he adds a ton of plot. Oh, spoiler! It's a he.
Okay. So no, I'm really interested to try it actually. It was so cheap on Steam sale. God, there were so many good games on Steam sale, but I think I've finally reached a saturation point. But yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. And Steven was saying that it is such like an action heavy series that doesn't waste your time, that it might be right up my alley.
Yeah, I think like I've warmed a little bit. Like I reviewed Ys Origin. I said it was okay, like pretty good. It's great for what it is. It's very arcadey. It can be exhausting because it's literally like, all right, you beat the insane boss, next level, go. There's like no exploration. There's no like go talk to people in town. There's like, yeah, there's 5 people you can talk to at any given time. Get back into the dungeon and kill stuff. Fun game, but Felghana is more RPG-ish.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I will try to play those as soon as I finish up Deadly Premonition. Did you hear that, Zach? I agreed that I'm going to play Ys.
Zaku.
Sorry, dude, you just have to play Deadly Premonition and you'll understand it.
Gotcha.
So, thanks everybody for listening to the podcast. As always, send us likes and reviews on iTunes, and also make sure to post on the thread if you guys have any questions for us, anything that you want us to bring up. Can't think about what the next game we're probably gonna end up talking about is gonna be. It's January, so
well,
Lightning Returns comes out,
yeah,
so we'll
I was
probably have
gonna
that.
say, I'll have that. Yep.
All right. So, and that is Steven cutting apart
Steven
bosses.
literally just tweeted 2 screenshots from Metal Gear Rising, like, as we're podcasting.
Well, because one of them is me wearing a mariachi costume, which I
How
promise.
do you multitask like this?
I don't understand. I don't understand how he does it, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
I also just added stuff to my Village of Bravely Default, but let's not.
All right.
This.
Well, thank you everybody for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.
I'm going for another beer.
Bye, guys. Thanks
That's
for
a good-
listening.
that's
Also, cross promotion. There is a new music podcast coming very soon, I promise. I was away on vacation and ill and also just wanted to relax. But it's coming very soon, and it's going to be awesome.
All right. That's the official end of the podcast.
See ya.
See ya.